Lance bush is burning, it's burning for you. Lance bush is burning, it's burning for you.
Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So if you tuned into last week's episode, we left you on kind of a cliffhanger, whether or not I would make it back from the Bahamas or even get to the Bahamas. That was with Jezebel Montero last week, so make sure you go back and listen if you haven't. But I did make it back, and I did make it to the Bahamas. It was a lot of fun. I had to do the COVID test, then load everything into the system, had to take the COVID test back. Did make it. I will tell you that if you ever have gone to the Bahamas or go to the Bahamas and you're going to stay in Atlantis, stay at the Cove. I would really recommend staying at the Cove. And they do not sponsor this show in any way, but the Cove is a wonderful place and you will have a spectacular time. It's just that getting there is a pain in the tuchus, as I like to say. So here's what I'm going to go to. This is where my bush is burning, okay? Obviously, I had a wonderful time in the Bahamas. It's hard to burn your bush when you're had it. I did burn my toes, though, from the sun, but that's another episode, okay? So here is the thing. Airline travel is abysmal. Let me say it aloud. Airline travel is abysmal. Now, I know I've talked about this before. Every time I fly, it just makes me more angry. And even if you fly first class, it's not even the same as it used to be, okay? The airlines are the problem. Yes, they fill all the seats on the plane. They have 6 seats across on a 737 with no room in the middle. So you can't even put the cart up and down without hitting somebody in the elbow. That is ridiculous. You can't even walk. Somebody goes to the bathroom, they're going to hit you. It is just amazing. Watch out if you have the aisle seat. But what is extremely funny is that you have to wear a mask on the plane, which, again, I get it. I totally get it. We don't want to give anyone COVID. But I'm sitting on top of someone here who I don't even know. We might as well be hugging and kissing already because that's kind of the whole thing, right? The whole experience just blows from the beginning. As everyone is some kind of medallion member and some kind of a whatever, but they have this crazy idea that boarding by zone is a good thing, right? Boarded from the back of the plane already. It's such a pain in the neck the way they do it. But what the biggest problem is you have these stupid people that are standing up in the airport and they're not ready to board yet, but they're blocking everybody else from boarding. Sit down. They're not leaving without you, okay? You need to respect the zones. I know it's a crazy experience, but you need to respect the zones and just don't stand up, and wait. Like I said, they are not going to leave without you if you're in the building there. They're not leaving without you. It's just amazing. I know you got that heavy roller board and you want to get it in the overhead bin. Again, I go back to the airlines. If they would just stop charging people to check bags, this would all go away. They should provide you with a complete solution, which includes bag fees, maybe a lunch. Go back to giving something on the plane, a real drink maybe. Back in the day, they used to do that. People used to dress up on the plane. They used to have it, all that kind of stuff. I know I'm old, and I know it's all kinds of crazy stuff, but it is just ridiculous. I mean, on the plane home, they told us, so get this. I know it was a smaller flight. It was only about a 45-minute flight or an hour flight on the way home. But they told us they were only serving water, tea, coffee, or hot water. And then they had some cookies or whatever like that. I mean, prisons have better menus than this. Really? This is all you can do? I mean, throw peanuts at you? It reminds me of the No Frills airline where you had to bag all your stuff together. It is getting ridiculous. And hey, Delta, don't ask me to do a survey on this because you're not going to want to hear from me on how a survey is. It is just ridiculous on this. You got to fix this. It is crazy. And don't lie to me on the safety message and tell me to sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of your flight. Really? I've enjoyed riding in a smart car more. I mean, this is the way it is. The other burning bush thing is, why do people feel the need when the plane lands that they have to stand in the aisle immediately? Buddy, you're not going anywhere for 10 minutes. Sit down. There is no reason. You're not going to forget your bag, and I know you have a connecting flight. We all do, okay? Sit down. And then they don't respect the rules that each row is supposed to go and both sides and let you go. No, they got to push their way up, and they've got to do all this stuff. It reminds me of the elevator, right? Let the people get off the elevator before you start going on, okay? No one cares about you. It is just, we need to be respectful of all people instead of thinking only of yourself. Oh, I'm exhausted. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She is a writer, director, performer living in Los Angeles, California. She co-created and co-starred in the comedy hit series TV Guide, Letter Theater. She also wrote BoJack Horseman on Netflix, School of Rock. It goes on and on. She wrote and performed sketches for Conan on TBS, among many things. She's also hosted and produced a much better podcast than Lens Burning Bush, 2 Degrees of Allie. Please welcome ALISON FLIERL to Lens Burning Bush. And ALISON, I want to put you in the screen here and get you going on here. I apologize, put you on the big screen. But ALISON, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. I think you need to take over the rest of the show because this trip was exhausting.
I've got a lot to say about it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Airline, it's just abysmal. Am I wrong? It's like a smart car.
If the place in the Bahamas does want to sponsor your guests and send them to the Bahamas, I would still go.
Of course.
If they need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out that 100,000 airline miles still doesn't get a family of 3 across the country.
Yeah, you need about a million miles away.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I thought that was a lot. And I was incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to complain because people, they wanted to travel and all this stuff. And I know we've been doing, for 2 years, we've had all kinds of stuff. And getting on a plane for some people has been hard. But I tell you the truth, they make it miserable. Don't tell me to have a wonderful experience when you're putting somebody in a middle seat and the space in between. There's no room to put. And again, I'm not saying I'm a small person. I'm a little bit. My corporation has expanded nicely over the years, but I just don't get it that they want you're right on top of each other. You can't even, and then I get hit by the person next to me all the time. And that's not my wife.
It's a fight for elbow domination.
Oh my God. It's like a
and then there's the people who do bare feet.
Oh goodness. Disgusting.
I read somewhere that normal seats, like plastic seats you have in a cafeteria, that they've increased in size over the last 20 years because Americans have increased in size, myself included. But airline seats, I'm pretty sure have shrunk.
No one's ass can fit on those seats. No one. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't care how big.
No.
A little kid maybe, but if you're 5'6" and above, and weigh 165 pounds and above, don't even bother. Right? It just, that's what they've made it for, these airlines. Enough with these small aircraft. Give me a Concorde or something. Give me something that has remember the ones that had the, scene from The Wedding Singer where they had the stairs going to first class? Remember that? Whatever happened to that? That would be.
It's 2022. I was hoping we'd have jetpacks now, but we don't.
It would have been a lot better to travel that way. I just don't understand it because it's like a Greyhound bus now in the sky, but the Greyhound bus doesn't charge you for baggage.
Greyhound bus is better.
Yeah.
I took a bus a couple years ago from New York, and there was Wi-Fi. It was a nice wide seat. It was actually more comfortable than a plane, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know how they fix this other than maybe they don't sell middle seats anymore and they figure out a way. Again, they sit there with pencils at the airport. Putting in costs, they're so poor they can't figure it out. Just charge me. I've always said that they do it they've got all the seats, they know how much they need to make. It's to me a baseball stadium in the sky. You buy the tickets on April 8th or you buy it on April 15th or the day of the game. It's the same price for the different rows. Why can't they do that? Why is this so difficult? And stop with this. You got to put the bags in the overhead compartment, and then they're yelling on the loudspeaker, oh, it's a sold-out flight, and we need you to check your bag. Well, you could have thought of that before, right? Just check the damn bag.
There was a trick. I'm not recommending this because it's lying, but a writer I worked with who had to fly back and forth between LA and New York a lot used to wear a neck brace. So then he would get on first and be able to always put his bag up and then just go to sleep. I won't name names. So
no, that is a very good thing, and we're going to segue into that. I mean, you've had a very impressive career. You the TV Guide, Leather Theater, but I wanted to ask you about Conan. I mean, that seems to me a very interesting. He had the whole thing moving to TBS from NBC, the Tonight Show thing that didn't go very well. But Conan's very funny, very good show. I wanted to get your experience with that. Why don't you? I want to put you on the solo. Nobody needs to see me if you're watching on YouTube and
now
Twitter.
I just see myself.
Yeah,
oh.
There you go. But talk about Conan a little bit. Talk about working with him and how that was. You did some sketches and stuff.
I was there for the Tonight Show, and then also for the TBS show. I think I was at the TBS show like 2 seasons and then left. But yeah, I mean, it was that was my first experience with late night. It was when a lot of the staff had just moved over from New York for the Tonight Show, and I mean, it's a really fun show to work on. Conan's obviously like one of the funniest people you'll ever meet, one of the smartest people you'll ever meet, but also so are his writers, and it's one of those places where different thing could happen every day. There would be a news story, and they'd have a sketch by the end of the day. I remember being in Chicago. I think it was in Chicago. We were doing a week of shows, and there was something going on with an ostrich wearing a G-string, and they made it happen, but then it got cut. And I was like, that's show business where an ostrich G-string gets cut from the show. Yeah, it was a good experience. It's definitely one of those, like, the pressure of putting a show on every day is very different from just like writing a script for a couple months and thinking about it. And I really enjoyed that show and the people there. But I knew I was more interested in like the half-hour world and writing characters and story, but it was a really fun experience. And also really good snacks. Ooh. We have a lot of birthday cakes there at the time. And they send you a lot of food to the green room. So that was, speaking of expanding in your seat. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I always loved that. I worked at a newspaper and we would get things delivered all the time. And we would just there would be food every single day. And it was just, and then everybody had a birthday, right? It's like the episode of Seinfeld. Enough already with the sugar at 3:00 in the afternoon. But then you realize that you want the sugar at 3:00 in the afternoon because you start getting a sugar rush and needing it like Elaine did in the one thing.
Well, we had made a secret foodies group email where we would send restaurant recommendations and also let people know when there was cake. So the foodies would like get there early, so they'd always get cake. Because it was a huge staff. I think it was like 150 or 200. I forget exactly. But and so we did do a bit at one point where we did a cake sting because I had let them know. They were like, you always get the cake. I'm like, well.
Yes. Where is the cake? We want the cake, please.
So Conan did a sting and found out like who gets there first. And I think Andy Richter was one of the first people and some other staff members. And it's pretty funny.
So do you still keep in touch with them a little bit here and there?
I keep in touch with some people from the show. I mean, I haven't, it's been, what year did I left there in 2013. So it's the kind of people where when I run into them, I'm so happy to see everyone. They're like family. My last good night in New York City before COVID and before I had a kid was like I ran into Lori Kilmartin, who's an amazing comedian, at the airport, and she got me tickets for a show in New York because I was flying to New York, and like it was such a fun night. And so yeah, everyone there is really close to my heart. Don't see them enough, but that's just kind of life, you know.
But you have in your cell phone, I would imagine, it'll say Conan O'Brien, right? You have the cell phone.
I don't really call Conan.
I thought maybe you did.
He was always very nice to me. But you know, I was closer to some other people on that show. But
sure,
yeah. But he was a good, like, he would remember when I first started there. My now husband, boyfriend, then was doing an engineering job where he was like traveling all over. And at one point, like Conan had asked him and like, oh, how's Baltimore, wherever he was. And Pete was like, my mom doesn't remember where I am. So he's very smart and very sharp. But also all comedians, they all have their dark side. They're all, you know, all of us, we're all
crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's what makes the genius. And, you know, you look at Conan, you look at other comedians, and they've got that ability, right? And Jay Leno too, and all the others.
For me, I say like I was an only child, so maybe I needed attention.
Hey, welcome to the club. Me too.
Yeah. And then I had to wear a weird chin gear from like age 5 to 10 and wear it to sleepovers and then I had a permanent retainer where I'd like that. So I think that's probably why I went into comedy. I think those two reasons. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, talk to me a little bit about when I was growing up. So I'm a lot older than you, but I remember getting the TV Guide delivered. Okay. And I would get the TV Guide and I could not wait to get the TV Guide. I would do the TV Guide crossword. I loved it. You created a TV Guide letter theater. Explain a little bit to someone like me who just loved the TV Guide. How do we?
I mean, this is one of those examples of anyone who, just make things. If you're a creative person, you're like, oh, don't always just wait for permission to make something. And so my writing partner, Scott Chernoff, and I, when we were working at the Tonight Show, the show would get all these magazines because you needed topical stuff. And we would read each other TV Guide during rehearsal when there was like a break in rehearsal. And we started seeing these letters and we thought it was so funny because people would write letters and ask questions you could have just Googled. And we just thought that was hilarious. So we would read them to each other and we thought they were so funny. And then when the Tonight Show got canceled and we had some downtime, we're like, let's make a web series about that. And we did that for like $100 and we acted and used some other actors we knew. And it was one of those things where like, well, this is just fun. It's just a web series. And then TV Guide featured it and gave us a web cheer and invited us to some hot list parties back in the day. And so it was, and Huffington Post featured it. So it was like one of those random things where you can make something on your own and you don't know where it's going to go. And we weren't sure if TV Guide would sue us, but luckily they liked it and thought it was really funny. I think we did like 3 seasons for a while. It was like on Funny or Die, which featured it, but now Funny or Die changed. I'm not sure where it is right now, but yeah, it was one, just one of those funny things.
Well, I love it. I'm as soon as like TV is all screwed up now, you got to watch it when, it's all on demand. It's different. I mean, it was must see TV at certain times and you needed a TV Guide to figure out what was on.
Yeah.
Now you spend 3 hours trying to find the show. And by the time you find it, it's been over because there's too many channels on every single cable, whatever. It's crazy.
But I mean, it was just because we made that show what year in 2010, and like we had the internet then. Like, people still they would write like, well, what was this actor on this show? And I'm like, you can just go to IMDb and look it up. You don't need to write a letter. Wait for the letter to come back.
My wife, it gets annoying sometimes because we're watching TV and she sees, I know who the actor is. Like, I'll say, that's somebody, and she'll have to check on me to make sure that I was right. So she looks at IMDb.
She doesn't trust you.
No, absolutely not. After 30, I don't know how many. Yeah, exactly. She does not trust me. But usually, I will say that I'm right sometimes. The people don't always admit it. But I'm able to pick up. And certain voices, I was watching an episode of Seinfeld the other day. And it was the episode with the goiter lady. And I'm listening to her voice. And I'm like, oh, my God, that's Edie McClure. Like, there's certain people that you could hear their voice. I don't care where they are. It's like, I'm Marge Sweetwater, Thornton Mellon's private secretary. But she's got that voice that I certainly remembered. And speaking of voices.
I met her at a TV Guide party, I think.
Oh, you did? She seemed like she'd be. I'll tell you, she was great.
I was delighted by her.
Yeah. He's a righteous dude. From Forrest. Speaking of voices, we lost the great Gilbert Gottfried this past week, and the good thing is we haven't seen the last of him. Apparently, he died on April 12th at the age of 67. But his role of the clever parrot Iago, what is it, Iago in Disney's Aladdin, as well as 200 hours of content left on his Cameo page. So we'll still get to see him. That is one of the benefits. I talked about this when Betty White died and when others have died. One of the benefits of now is that you can go back and just watch stuff like I did with Bob Saget, or I did this with others. You just go back and watch, and it's kind of amazing to be able to do that now. Watching the talent of the years that they've been on, or it is kind of sad. We also
live on forever.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll work,
exactly.
Which is good because there's been so many hard to take losses recently. Of all ages. Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, he was pretty young, like 67.
I know. Yeah, he was sick for a while. But I think he posted something about the Will Smith smack recently. That was the last time I think he posted anything. But he's always been. Everybody had great things to say about him. We also lost two mothers on Seinfeld. We lost Liz Sheridan and Estelle Harris recently. Liz Sheridan just died at 93. Jerry Seinfeld said Liz was always the sweetest, nicest TV mom a son could wish for. He wrote alongside a picture of the pair, and it's sad. And Jason Alexander also, his TV mama was Estelle Harris, and I'll never forget the episode. You were treating your body like an amusement park. Yeah,
it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Seinfeld is one of the shows I teach some TV writing classes at the writing pad, and Seinfeld's one of the shows. I'm like, that's a really good show to see how they interweave stories. It's just classic.
Yeah, because truly, it is a show about nothing, but there's something that happens, right? It's not totally about nothing, but it was kind of where that the way they ended it was kind of cool. What are your thoughts of Curb Your Enthusiasm after watching Seinfeld or working on? What are your thoughts of that?
I always really liked Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I haven't seen as much of it. So I've seen some episodes and I actually wrote a spec of it when I was in college, I think. So it was a show I enjoyed, but I didn't keep up with it.
Right.
Which I probably should have.
It's a really good show. I think it's kind of like an R-rated version of Seinfeld, but the characters are just brilliant. Everything is done, and it's a lot of improv. I think a lot of the script is improv.
I love everyone in it.
Yeah.
So it's just a fantastic group of comedy people, but I haven't seen it. I think Seinfeld was on when I was you'd watch reruns and eat a TV dinner when I was a kid, and then then Curb was on when I was starting to work in TV. I think if I remember correctly, but yeah.
So what are your things? I mean, you've been involved in writing, you've been involved in TV, and what about movies ideas? Because I'm getting tired of the reboots. They're going to do a movie which should not have ever be rebooted with anybody else character. But White Man Can't Jump celebrated, was it from
30 years?
Yeah, 30 years, right? And now they're apparently going to be doing a reboot. Where rapper Jack Harwell will now play Billy, previously played by Woody Harrelson, and Cinco Walls will play Sidney, originally by Wesley Snipes. Let me just tell you, I am officially out. There is no way I am watching a reboot of White Man Can't Jump when it was brilliant the way it was. You don't need anything else.
It seems like a weird one to remake because it's like...
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like... Yeah, I don't know. That it doesn't seem like a franchise movie that you keep making. It's not like a Fast and the Furious. It is perfect in itself. And I mean, we know White Men Can't Jump. We know that now. So are we exploring any new territory? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, nobody could play Rosie Perez as I'll take flutes with the letter Q, or Billy, you're so stupid. It's infinity plus infinity. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. But why would you even go down this path? And who greenlights that? Or
have you seen Flight Attendant with her?
Yes.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Oh, she's great. I love that show. It's actually appearing. Season 2 is coming out in a week or so.
Yeah, it's such a great show. But yeah, I mean, movies. It's both. Yeah, there's a lot of remakes, but there's also there's still exciting things happening in independent film because you can shoot so cheaply now. I mean, this is a couple years back, but the movie, did you ever see the movie Tangerine? Was all shot on an iPhone, and now there's the new iPhone 13, which I'm actually shooting an indie feature on. And so it's exciting what you can do nowadays. Yeah. But unfortunately the studios, I feel don't want to take a lot of risks. So they're just doing a lot of remakes.
Yeah.
Marvel. I like Marvel movies and, but yeah, I mean, I worked on, I produced a movie called Random Tropical Paradise a couple of years ago so that was kind of fun to go from TV Guide Letter Theater where it's we're paying people in pizza to shooting a movie in Florida where we're shooting on a yacht and we have bad guys and it was a full, so I love that world too. A movie it's more of a marathon. Well, TV's marathon too, but I mean, we were doing the 6-day weeks kind of thing and yeah.
Well, so did you ever see the movie Boogie Nights?
Yes.
Okay. So you know the movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I just wanted, so they were asking, so Mark Wahlberg, apparently, a lot of Hollywood stars, what they do is they take a prop or two from the movie, right? So Mark Wahlberg, of course, has a large lifelike version of what he showed at the end of the movie, let's just say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were asking.
Stunt double, so to speak.
Exactly. Exactly. So he answered a bunch of questions on whether or not he still has the prosthetic version of that he wore in Boogie Nights. And he said it's saved and locked away. He told Ellen DeGeneres, it's not something I can leave out. My kids are, maybe they're looking for a spare phone charger and they pull that thing out. It's not a good look. And you with a young, it's like you gotta hide the stuff, but it's safely locked away on it. But of course, Wahlberg played Dirk Diggler in the Paul Thomas Anderson 1997 film. He got a Screen Actors Guild nomination for it. It was a tremendous movie. He mentioned that his daughter asked whether he's seen the film, and Wahlberg mentioned his daughter had, but she hasn't had the conversation with me. Thank goodness. Thank God. He said she's sparing me for that. So I enjoyed that movie, but yeah, I guess if you had to take a prop from the movie, Marky Mark, who was just selling his, I talked about this last week, $67 million Beverly Hills mansion or something, like $80 million.
That he bought for like $8 million. Yeah.
I know. And we were talking about 20 bathrooms last week. I just don't understand why you would need 20 bathrooms.
Maybe he has like IBS. I don't know. Like what? Like that seems like a lot of bathrooms. Like, I've been to some very nice houses and I'm always like, why does anyone need, I feel like 4 is the max you need. Really like 2 to 3 is good unless you have like 12 children, but like 20 bathrooms, I just don't understand.
But would you try all 20 bathrooms if you just moved in eventually? It would take you.
I think I would. Yeah.
I would too, but here's my problem. Okay. As someone who doesn't like to use public restrooms, I like to be at home base. I'm not a public restroom. I've talked about this before. And at some point, if you're in a house that big with 20 bathrooms, some of them just feel like you're going to the neighbor's house. Like you wouldn't have that personal feel, right?
You don't have your stuff there.
No. You need your stuff. I mean, come on. It's just so. Anyway, you've done all this stuff. What are you doing now? And are you going to get back into doing a little more? I know the children are more important right now.
Yeah, it's been weird with I had a kid and she's amazing and I love her so much. And she was 6 months when the pandemic started. So then it was sort of like, oh, I want to keep her safe and not let anyone in the house. So it's been a little weird, but now life is starting to get back to normal. I'm working on an indie film and writing a new script with Scott. And so it's good. It's starting to get back to normal. Well, but also it's a new normal because I still am a mom now. And before with being a writer, sometimes, I could write for 12 hours a day and I can't do that now. So because I like to take care of my child and make sure she's happy and healthy and all those crazy things.
That is look at that. I like that. She likes to take care of her child. That is a prerequisite. Yes, with a 2.5-year-old, that is definitely something.
She's so much fun. But yeah, I definitely am now getting into a better schedule, shooting something new, which I'm really excited about, but also is a super small thing. So it's kind of nice to I hadn't shot anything myself in a while. So that's great. Working on a new script. And then also thinking a lot about representation in the media. I mean, that's been a big topic over the past 2 years. My husband actually helped design a function with Final Draft 11 that helped have an inclusivity report. And so with also having a girl now and what she sees in the media, definitely that's kind of a thing I'm really, really pondering now is what do I want her to see? What would make me excited? She loves Frozen, and I do love in Frozen that the love is about between sisters. I think that's a nice message, but also I think it's really important for kids to see different body types, different able-bodiedness. So those are kind of the things I'm pondering as I'm moving forward with some writing projects, but also still just want to make people laugh.
Well, I'm the same way. I actually have an idea for a TV show. I do have Final Draft 12. I did buy that. And I wrote a little preliminary script. Maybe I'll send it to you. You can take a look at it and see if we can work together. But it's kind of an idea of somebody moving from New York to Kentucky. And, it's a pretty cool premise, because that's what I did. I moved from New York City to Kentucky. We have a mutual friend, Mara Golding, is the reason we're together today. We thank her. She appeared on an episode back in, I believe, season 1. I don't know. We've done 3. This is 106 episodes already of this, Allison. I cannot believe it. Now, you did yes. So go back and listen to Mara's episode. I think it was December of 2020 she came on. She is in a list of 106 episodes. You can find it on all the places, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush, but you can like us on Facebook at Lens Burning Bush and follow along at Lens Burning Bush on Twitter. We're streaming on Netflix. Listen to me. I had the idea of Netflix. Maybe they'll come on, but it's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook Live. You can see the video as well. So go over to those and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. So you can watch Allison on, because she's wonderful today. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we were hooked up together by Mara, and maybe we'll have you on again after you've got your new script ready to go it's going to be launched somewhere.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave with Blue Jellies, our band in Northern Kentucky. That I'm just gonna play a little bit more of the Lens Burning Bush theme.
Bush is burning, it's burning for you. Lens Bush is burning, it's burning for you.
What do you think of the theme song to Lens Burning Bush?
It's pretty great and pretty catchy. I think it's going to be in my head all day.
Oh, it'll be in your head all day. But thanks to Blue Jelly, they're a Northern Kentucky band. They do a great job, and they were nice enough. They came on for the 100th episode, and they gave me a little special treat. But thank you so much, Allison Flierl. That rhymes with squirrel. That's how we're going to remember that. If you're spelling it, it's Flierl, but it's Flierl. So we'll do that. But thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
We'll be back with another episode of Lens Burning Bush next week. So long.